Please don't leave me here. You're gonna go to hell. You're gonna go to hell.
Perfect.
Okay. Carter, I'm excited to be talking with you about Swallowed. I watched it today, as a matter of fact, and oh my God, it was so good. It was so full of tension, and really build up towards the second half. I mean, overall, a great job.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
So my
If
first
enjoy
question,
is the right word.
yeah. So my first question is, what was the idea behind this? Because I know you were also the writer. How did this idea come about?
I wanted to tell a story that and make a film that was something that I could make in a way that didn't require, sort of studio development and, sort of investors. And I wanted to make something, a very specific type of like micro budget, indie film. And I wanted, so that's where it started. And then I started with the relationship between Benjamin and Dom, and sort of how a best friend relationship can be a little complicated, and what might happen on their last night together if everything went wrong that could go wrong.
That's awesome. And this was a great cast. I mean, Cooper Koch and Jose Colon were great as
Yeah,
Benjamin and Dom.
so good, right? Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like with those two, and how did you get to know them?
I had shot Jose. I had photographed him before, and and sort of that's where the character of Dom came from. It was like spending the afternoon shooting him and sort of becoming like this character kind of entered my brain in a way that happens sometimes when you're shooting someone. And so I started writing the script very much with him in mind. And Cooper and I had met a couple of years prior and had wanted to do something with him and just hadn't had the right moment. And so he actually put himself on tape for this. And it was just incredibly clear from the very first moment that like this is Benjamin, and I knew that they would be great together, like having spent a little bit of time with both of them. So yeah, it
That's
was they were incredible and so game
awesome.
for everything this film required.
Oh yeah, especially what happens like in the first half of that movie. And
Yeah.
you got to work with two veteran, got to work with Jena Malone as Alice, and then Mark Patton. I can't say enough about him. I am so glad that he decided to come back in front of the screens, and what better of a role than this character. I mean,
Yeah,
what was
and
it
this one
like?
was written direct. I wrote it for him, so like I didn't have any connection with him. I didn't know him, but I wrote it 100% with him in mind. After seeing Scream Queen, the doc, I
Yeah,
was like,
exactly.
"That's rich." Yeah,
I
totally.
saw that too. That was an amazing. I was like, I hope he gets. Oh, like I hope he gets to come back to acting and do something phenomenal. And he
Oh,
pulled
he's
off.
back. He's loving it. Like he has. And what's been so exciting is taking this film to so many festivals. It's like you know the love that the horror community has for Mark is boundless and is so inspiring and so exciting. The number of people that are just like giddy with joy to see him on the big screen, and like see him getting to play in this way that he gets to do with Rich.
Yeah, and I like the fact that unlike Nightmare on Elm Street 2, this one's just he just gets to be himself in this, even though he's sinister, but he gets to be
Yeah,
his
like
own
a
person.
weird dark evil version of himself. Yeah, he said something really kind of powerful on at one of the Q&As that we did, and it was this was the first time that he had stepped on set and didn't have that armor up. Like he wasn't worried about how gay he looked, and he wasn't worried about how other people perceived him, and he wasn't worried about if the light was right. He just showed up game to play and to like unfurl Rich in the most raw and kind of real genuine way possible, which it was so exciting to hear that.
That's awesome. Now, what's interesting is that these drugs that they're forced to swallow has bugs in it. Where did that idea come about?
I think that I'm kind of fascinated with this whole like this idea that people go to the Amazonian jungle and like do these ceremonies with like frog venom. And I mean, I think that there's a lot of there's so much talk of microdosing this, and and like to me, I found it really interesting, like that this could be something that was then monetized, and like what would happen if things went horribly wrong. And I think that a big part of body horror is sort of realizing that you have lost control over your body, and don't sort of are forced to deal with the consequences of what you've swallowed in this case.
Yeah. And I gotta say, Cooper and Mark had such excellent chemistry in that third act of the film. I mean,
Oh, I'm so
and
happy you said that.
that was just mind blowing, because it's like they decided to play mind games with each other. It goes from body horror to, I felt, more psychological horror by like the third
Yeah,
act,
for sure.
because
And
they're definitely,
the way that he like, the weird power play that happens between them, and who has the power, and who, and what gives them that power. It was a really fun thing to play with in that back half of the film.
yeah, that's amazing. So how long did shooting take, and were there any challenges that you faced during production?
Yeah, I mean, we shot in 15 days, and our biggest challenge was just the scope of the shoot. We were a crew of around 8 people, and we were shooting in remote northern Maine, off the grid, in a location that didn't have, we didn't have electricity, we didn't have internet or cell service or flushing toilets. Even like that outhouse that's in the film, that was, that was the extent of our services. So like,
Wow.
making a film in those conditions is incredibly challenging, but it's also, everyone's very focused on what they do, because there's no one's on their phone. There's no DMs to get back to. There's no messages. It's just 100% like you're off the grid, and you're focused on what you're doing, which was super exciting.
That's amazing. I mean, that's just, it feels like it's empowering in a way too, because
Absolutely, yeah.
especially with the days of technology, it's like anything could go wrong, but you guys pulled it off nicely in this one, I think.
Oh, good. Yeah, it was a fun one. It definitely made, it was a different way of making movies from anything that I've done before, and it was yes, it was challenging, but it was also really exciting.
That's awesome. So after Swallowed, is there anything upcoming that you can talk about that's coming up next for you?
Yeah, after Swallowed, I did a film for Blumhouse called The Passenger, which is a sort of coming of age hostage road trip thriller, starring Kyle Gallner and Johnny Birchtold, that will come out in the fall. And it's part of their streaming deal. I think it's with Epix. So yeah, that one is done, and I'm just waiting for that to come out. So it's exciting to know that I've got 2 films in 1 year, which is
Yeah,
not always the case.
exactly. That's awesome. Well, and it's funny. That's what's interesting is the release date for Swallowed is Valentine's Day. So you just imagine how many couples are going to probably end up seeing this on demand and digital. How many?
I love that. I love that. I love that this is like, it's kind of like a good, like it's good for couples, and it's also good for people that are just like bitter about Valentine's Day and hate Valentine's Day. I think that like they could get just as much enjoyment from like how messed up it is,
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think anyone, I mean, couples can check this out. Even once, if you're bitter about it and just like, I wish something bad would happen, like, all right, you're gonna have to see this movie then, because this movie's fantastic. And I mean,
Yeah.
everything's just done right. And so it'll be out on VOD and digital on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And Carter, man, you did a great job with this film, and I'm so glad you guys take the time to talk about it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for helping to spread the word. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, I hope everyone takes care and you all have a great day.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.